How's everybody doing today? Hope you listened to some of those plays yesterday. We got right off the bat here, we got, I always forget that glare thing on my glasses. Lask Linz. It's not the last time we're going to hear about Lask Linz, I tell yous. 3-1 today. Big win for Lask Linz. Really liked that game. And it was, it was 2-0 after 19 minutes, 3-0 in the first half. So they beat Admira Wacker Mondling. Like that game yesterday. Roma is up 2-0. Wasn't a lot of games yesterday on the board. So, when you can find some of them, it's pretty good. And it's not going to be the case this weekend. There's a ton of games on the docket, and we're going to look at those. There's my guy Lex. What's up, Lex? How you doing? No echo today, thankfully. Remember, I'm on tonight on ESPN New York, and you can listen on any of the TuneIn radio apps. You can listen through the computer on the ESPN New York 98.7 station. Really cool. We're on in Connecticut, and we're going to be on in, I know we're going to be on in LA and Chicago and Indianapolis and Albany, maybe. Louisville, Richmond, forgetting somewhere else. We're going to be on all over the place in the fall. So when football season starts, remember to like, subscribe, ring that bell. We got all kinds of 6 hours of great info. Remember, I will actually be on again tonight at 8 o'clock on Total Chaos with Allie. Allie, who was on today at 1 o'clock, 1 to 2 with Morning Wood. So be sure to follow all the Max Wagers Network all day. Midday Money, Sean Higgs, noon Eastern, Allie, Morning Wood, Just Parlays, Chris King, 2 to 3. Back to the window, Scott and Scott. It's me at 4. At Game Time Decisions, Nick, Tim, and Lenny. And then, of course, our show tonight. Like, subscribe, and ring that bell. LJ's not here today. LJ would want you to ring that bell and like the show because he gets all excited about that. Remember, you get $1,000, $1,100 first bet insurance with Caesars. Use promo code ATS wins CZR. Links are in the show box below. You're going to be able to bet that on some of these. Remember tonight we have the there was a rugby match last night. We're going to have some tonight and all weekend. So remember to look at those rugby matches. I'll say that right off the bat. And today it's going to be a lot of we got a lot of action. Premier League, DFP Pokal, League Taça de Portugal, Serie A, and MLS. I did those quickly so you couldn't see them before we talked about them, because then you wouldn't listen to what I had to say, right? All right. And then in the second half hour, we'll have Kaepernick on talking about the MLS, so that'll be cool. Just Roma's still up 2-0, 60th minute against Torino. Roma's minus 2,500 on the live bet. Roma's locked. If Roma wins, they lock up Europa League. If they win Wednesday, they lock it up anyway, I believe, as well for winning the Europa Conference League. Remember, that game is Wednesday, and the Champions League is next Saturday, Memorial Day weekend. I will be at the beach, probably watching on the beach, cheering for Real Madrid. So, holla. Dre Day, that's right. He is coming on. Did you forget about Dre? Like that. That was pretty good, right? So yeah, look, this is a huge weekend. There's Cup finals. There's playoff finals. The League One the playoff final is Wickham and Sunderland on Saturday. There's the DFB Pokal, and it's not Bayern Munich and it's not Borussia Dortmund. It's going to be um, Freiburg. Who's hey, listen, you talk about Freiburg. I mean, this Freiburg team has been very good this year. So I'm not going to dismiss them. Let me see if I can get the table. Freiburg finished in 6th place, and Freiburg will be playing in the Europa League. And if they win this cup, they'll be playing in the Europa League anyway, but they're already in it, so it doesn't really matter. But Freiburg was a very impressive, finished only 3 points behind RB Leipzig and 3 points outside the Champions League spot. RB Leipzig got that by a point over Union Berlin and 3 points over Freiburg. So this Freiburg team is a little bit dangerous. We'll talk a little bit more about it later. I definitely want to start the show with the Premier League. And it's a massive, massive weekend. Yesterday's game, I know I took, how could I forget? We talked about Everton as well. We liked Everton in that game, and it was chaos. Hopefully some of you live bet it when it was 2-0 at halftime. I don't know if you could have live. I think you could have. I think at 2-1, definitely people could have live bet that game. When you're watching it and you see the momentum building, as soon as that first goal went in, I said, you know what, this is on right now. It's not always like that. You watch these games and it's not always like that. That game, as soon as that first goal went in, I said, man, this is on. They're going to come back. They're definitely getting another goal. And they did. And then it was just a matter of could they win the game? Allergies. But it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen all the time like that. And last night was definitely one of them where I said, you know what? This is a live betting opportunity right now. This is it. You can make some money right here betting Everton at probably like plus 500. Probably at 2-0, they were probably even like plus 1,000. I don't even know. People probably thought they're, left for dead. Just took Bettis live at plus 300. Yeah, look, Bill, hey, Bill, by the way, LJ was asking about you. So he said, where's Bill? He had the Warriors the other day, was all happy about that. But Real Madrid, I can't, I can't imagine they're putting in too much of an effort. I saw the lineup and I thought it was pretty good, but I saw a stat. Someone said that Madrid hasn't scored against Betis at home since like 2017, or maybe, I don't know if it's 2017 or 2019. So Betis plays them very tough. So, those games are tough. Now, when you look at these Premier League games tomorrow, I have to caution you about something. Everton right away, the Everton-Arsenal game. Arsenal has to win. Everton's safe now. I guarantee you the entire team was drunk last night. They were out partying till all hours. They stay in the Premier League. They keep their wages. All of them aren't going to be on the team next year, but, they get to keep their Premier League wages, which is a big thing. When you go down to the Championship, you get your wages cut. So, I'm telling you, Everton will be just about probably useless on Sunday. So I would probably be all over Arsenal. Tottenham's got some issues with some, remember the food poisoning thing. I know Harry Kane maybe has something, a little bug here. So you got to watch that. Burnley, I only listed 5 of the games, the ones that may be the most important. I didn't list the Leeds game because I don't really think, maybe they get a draw, but I just don't know about that. Burnley plus 123 versus Newcastle plus 220, draw plus 245. Liverpool minus 715 versus Wolves plus 1900, draw plus 700. City minus 670 versus Aston Villa plus 1600, draw plus 700, and then Norwich City plus 950 versus Tottenham minus 420 and draw plus 550. Here's what I wanted to tell you. Before the game starts, to me, obviously Liverpool and Manchester City are you have to think they're both going to win, and you'd have to target see if I can pull these up for you. You know, you want to probably look at here you go. You want to probably target I pulled Manchester City up first. There's a lot of goals. City scored 2 goals, basically 2-1, 2-1, 2-0, 2-1, 6-1. So City does give up some goals against Aston Villa. You could target the Asian line here at minus 2.25 or minus 2, right? Minus 129. You can say the total goals minus 2.5, right? And it's going to be the same thing for Liverpool. When you look at Liverpool, it'll be minus 143, 2.5. And the Asian handicap is going to be minus 2.25. My only problem with this, Everton to disgrace Arsenal out of spite. Maybe. I could see that. The only problem I see with betting this Liverpool game is, first half. First half might be better, to be honest. If City goes out and is up 3-0 at halftime or 4-0 at halftime, which City can do, right? The Liverpool, whatever, they could do it as well. But, if it's, if Liverpool's winning 1-0 at halftime and City's up 4-0, Liverpool is not, their guys are going off, right? They're resting guys. Salah's probably not going to play. I doubt Van Dijk will play. They're not going to be, they'll probably pull some other players off at halftime and maybe just pass the ball around because who cares, right? I mean, if City's already won the game up 4-0, passing the ball around, right? Villa's not coming back in that game, 3-0, 2-0, whatever it is. 2 is different. If it's 3 or 4, some of these, plays here, over 3.5, 3.25. This is probably the better play here. Asian handicap, Liverpool -1 at just about even money here. -1, minus 103. I'm just a little bit nervous that City is going to roll in that game against Villa. And this game, Klopp he's not going to leave his guys out there for 90 minutes. If they have a final on Saturday, he's going to pull them out and just tell them not to exert energy, pass the ball around or whatever. Because Villa's safe. So that's my only worry about that. Without Salah, Liverpool, look, I think that's a huge problem for them in the Champions League right now. Champions League, they're minus 103 or, around there, minus 105. And, Real Madrid is a very good team. If Salah's not 100% and Van Dijk isn't 100%, I don't know, man. That's a tough game for Liverpool to win. But, I'm just a little wary of that game. So these are the ones I'm looking at. I said Arsenal halftime, full time with a question mark, minus 113. If you're going to bet this game, you probably, maybe that or Arsenal minus 1.5 at plus 100. unless you're like Lex and thinks Everton could win that game just to spite Arsenal. But Arsenal doesn't matter really. I mean, they have to win, but it's all about what Tottenham does. So if Tottenham wins, it doesn't really matter, right? The Burnley game minus the money line is, they have to win. I mean, if you take it at minus 0.25 on the Asian handicap and it ends up a draw, which is really, might be all they need. Leeds has to win the game. So, minus 0.25 on the Asian handicap might be the better way to go there to me. But, I think you could probably take Burnley on the money line if you think they're going to win there. I don't know how Newcastle's going to play. Again, they're safe. Players maybe playing to stay next year, but I think that's a little bit noise and stuff like that. Like they probably already know who's going and who's staying, right? Except for if you're Kylian Mbappe. I did put Liverpool over 2.5 goals, but I think these are contingent upon whether you think this game here, the Manchester City over 2.5 goals, or Manchester City is gonna be a close game. If you don't think City's gonna, if you think City's gonna be a blowout, I don't know how much I would touch the Liverpool game. Maybe I would do first half -1. Whew. Man, this allergy med's knocking me out today. I like the City. Obviously, you see here, City over 2.5 goals, City over 3.5 goals, City over 4.5 goals. It could be one of those games where City's just gonna pour it on and make sure they win in style, and get a piece of silverware for the $2 billion they spent over the last 10 years. I like City -1 in the first half on the Asian handicap. If it's 1-0, you get your money back as a push. That's plus 105. And Tottenham, the final game there. I think Tottenham wins this game. I know they're gonna, maybe there's this, there's like a verb now. That's so Spursy, like or an adverb, Spursy. I just think Tottenham doesn't, North stinks. Tottenham finishes in style. They got the break they needed against, they won against Arsenal. They got the red card. They won 3-0. And then they won on the weekend and Arsenal lost against Newcastle. I can't imagine they're going to let it slip here. So I would have to take Tottenham in that game, and Newcastle and Norwich City's ready to go to the championship. So those are the Premier League plays right there. All right. DFB Pokal final. SC Freiburg versus RB Leipzig. You see the odds there. Leipzig basically even money. Draw plus 255. Freiburg plus 265. It's 2 p.m. on Saturday. By the way, all the Premier League games are 11 o'clock on Sunday. I personally, I just showed you that. I just told you that these two teams were separated by 3 points, but just this Leipzig team is pretty good. Excuse me. They're playing in the Champions League again next year. They made a run to the semifinals. They lost to Rangers in the Europa League. I just think they finish the season with a trophy here. Leipzig, I like Leipzig on the money line -104. I like Christopher Nkunku to score plus 165. Bill's guy there. If they score, he's got 56 goals this year in all competitions, which is absolutely ridiculous. And then Leipzig over 1.5 goals at plus 100. To me, I guess these teams don't score a lot of goals, but it's a cup final, so I think it'll be played a little bit more, maybe a little more openly for these two teams. I think Freiburg tries to go for it because, they haven't won a trophy in a while. So, all right. League all matches are 3 o'clock Saturday. Let me just check that if it's Saturday or Sunday. I think it's Saturday, but yeah, it's Saturday. All right. I'm going to give you the table here. So PSG won the league. Don't worry about them. Monaco is second, plus 25 goal difference, 68 points. Marseille is third, plus 21 goal difference, 68 points. Rennes is fourth, 65 points, plus 42 goal difference. So Rennes probably would jump those other two teams. Strasbourg is fifth, 63 points, plus 21 goal difference. Nice is sixth, 63 points, plus 15. And then Lyon is seventh, 61 points, with a chance to maybe jump up into one of the spots there. So the first game I looked at is Clermont Foot at plus 280 versus Lyon. You mentioned, I didn't mention Lyon. A little bit of a down year for Lyon. They're 58 points, plus 14 goal difference. Clermont Foot is minus 30 goal difference, which is absolutely atrocious. They're actually safe. They're not going to go down. So, minus 30 is the third worst goal difference in the league. I just, if you're going to give me Lyon at minus 125 in that game, I'll probably take it. Lille versus Rennes. Lille struggled this year, but they won the title last year, so it's whatever. Rennes, remember, Rennes needs to win. Rennes minus 120 here. Rennes has a plus 42 goal difference. Lille's is 0. Rennes has to win. So if Rennes wins, and then Strasbourg, who's in 5th right now, has to win to maybe jump up to 4th, because Rennes has 65 points, remember, and Strasbourg has 63. So Strasbourg's still in with a chance to make the Europa League. So I think they have a good chance here to just handed a note there. They have a good chance to do something. Let me turn a light on in here. I can't see anything. There we go. That's better. Now you can see me. Okay. The Strasbourg Monaco game, I didn't post. I will show you that. Right now here. It's right here. Monaco's playing Lyon, who, remember, I said, had a chance. I don't really love that game. Monaco probably should win. If you want to take a chance here, but you see these odds here, plus 300. You don't usually see that, plus 225. It's a little bit weird, those lines. That is a little strange. See here, Marseille, plus 102. Strasbourg, plus 255. Strasbourg's been very good. They have the same goal difference, and they're just 5 points apart. I'll probably stay away from that game. And Marseille has been the better team all year and been in the Champions League spots. But, I could see Rennes winning and Marseille losing here. And, Strasbourg jumping into 66 points, and Rennes jumping to 68, and maybe jumping ahead of Marseille for a Champions League spot. I don't know about the Monaco. If Lens beats Monaco, Rennes could jump all the way to second, which second is automatic into the Champions League. So that's a big deal. All right, let's get this back up. Taça de Portugal. Porto, minus 590. Portuguese Cup. I'm going to show you a couple pictures here. CD Tondela is plus 1050. And the draw is plus 550. It's 1215. These are two towns I know pretty well. See if I can Get you in here. I've been over there to, there we go. There's the Tondela Stadium right there. Been to Tondela, fantastic stadium. Right, you're sitting on the pitch. It's fantastic. It's a really small stadium, and then obviously Porto. We've been in Porto for the. Look, there's Cristiano Ronaldo right there, right? Actually have and there's Porto for the Nations League final. So I went to the Nations League final in 2019 and covered that for a couple of outlets, and got a chance to meet Cristiano Ronaldo, which was pretty cool. Porto is a pretty cool town. There's Ronaldo right there, eating dinner with us. Same restaurant. Just gonna give myself a little credibility here. I would like to say Tondela would win this, but they're not going to. Porto -2, Asian handicap -106. Porto over 2.5 goals -115. I think Porto dominates here and adds a Taça Portugal to the Portuguese league title, Liga NOS title. So I think that's going to be all Porto. That's Saturday, 12:15. We have, a few games in Italy. Look, Inter and AC Milan play at the same time, 12 o'clock. This league doesn't play all the games. They're all over the place all weekend. AC Milan and Inter Milan play at the same time. Inter's at home against Sampdoria. AC Milan's on the road against Sassuolo. Sassuolo is the better team here. So Inter Milan has to win the game. And Inter has a better goal difference. So if Inter wins and AC Milan draws, Sassuolo is +1 goal difference on 50 points. The team Sampdoria is -14 goal difference. I think Inter probably rolls over 3.5. But the only thing is, once again, you have a little bit of a situation that you have in with Liverpool and Manchester City. If AC Milan is rolling up at halftime 3-0 over Sassuolo, I don't know what Inter's going to do. I mean, I think in this game, Inter probably just buries them anyway. I mean, that's just my opinion. I don't even know if it would matter as much, but I could see the same kind of thing happening. Like if AC Milan is up 3-0 at halftime and you just know you're not winning the title, what do you do there? So it's just a little bit nervous when you kind of you take those games, but there's always a risk. So on these, I like Inter over 3.5 goals +125. Or you could take Inter -2.5 at -107. If you just think Inter's going to win 3-0, maybe, or 4-0, whatever it is, maybe it's better off taking them on -2.5 line at -107 instead of trying to, have to score 4 goals, 3 goals covers for you there. And AC Milan, same thing, -1.25. Asian handicap is +105. Or you can bet AC Milan over 2.5 goals. I think, if AC Milan wins 2-0, it covers the Asian handicap. But, it doesn't cover the over 2.5 goals at +133. So there's always a little bit of a risk there. So basically, that will be that. I think we're waiting for our guy, Kaepernick here. texting, see if we get them in here. Talk a little. We got a little MLS action here in the weekend. There's a lot of games here. You know what? It's different too. Remove this and add this to the stream. There we go. And we got Kaepernick on here. And there's only 4 games on Saturday, and Sunday is the main day, I believe, with 10 games. So it's a little bit more, it's a little bit different than what we had last week. Remember, Saturday was the big day of action. So we're going to bring in Kaepernick here and see what he's got to say about this little bit. You know, it's interesting. Remember last week we had all the games on Saturday and you had to pick 10 games. And then this week it's, there's 4 games on Saturday and then 10 games on Sunday. You think they'd start spreading them out maybe like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday a little bit to get the maximum coverage here. But it's always interesting how they don't have,
Yeah, they're giving a lot of teams a break. For playing on that Wednesday. A lot of good games on Wednesday for sure. A lot of teams surprised me. But I think there's going to be a lot more regression to the means this weekend for a lot of these teams. It's really sad whenever I look at a slate and I have a lot of faith in the home teams, but I do have a lot of faith in the home teams this weekend. A lot of the lines are spot on, really. So there's a couple of games that I'm really looking for. A couple of storylines that I want to talk about are so Cincy. They're on like a 4-game win streak right now, not including the Open Cup game that they lost recently. But they're looking pretty decent, and I'm surprised they are not favored at home against a New England team that hasn't been the best, especially not away from home. So it's really weird that that's happening. So I'm kind of interested in that.
Do you think
Cincinnati on that point?
Do you think some of that has to do with the fact that they've been so bad for so like the first couple years they've been in, and people are still a little bit, even though they're winning, people are still a little bit like hesitant, maybe just I think in July, if this team is rolling, this line will probably be a lot different. I think you think people are still a little hesitant to back them because they've been so bad for so many years.
Exactly, it could be that. Could be just recency bias of years that they've been terrible. They have been god awful in the last couple of years. So
I mean, awful, like awful.
Yes, and like bottom of the league, but they are trending up. They really are. They're a really scrappy team. I'm taking them on the draw no bet at plus 105. I don't think they lose at home. It could be a tie, but it's plus 105 on my book for them to draw no bet. So I'm taking that for sure. Until they prove me wrong, I'm just gonna start backing them because no one believes in them, not even the books. So they think this is a fluke, but it's not a fluke.
How about your Austin team? Another huge win against LAFC last weekend, and really just every time I see them at plus 200 or something like that, or plus 220, I'm putting a couple bucks on them.
Yeah. And they're definitely a wagon right now. It doesn't really matter who they're playing. It really doesn't. Even though I do agree that some of the teams they played are good teams, but they have had injuries. So they have been getting lucky on some of these better teams in the rankings. But it's not a bad idea to always put like a little $10 on them if they're ever plus money, because they're going to fight for your money. They're going to fight for it every time.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I know sometimes with any bettors or baseball or I mean, you see what the Yankees are doing or any sport. I mean, when you get these teams that are high, I mean, you don't always have to put $100 or $50, whatever. I mean, you could just say, Austin FC last week against LAFC, they were the underdog. Say, look, I'm going to throw $10 on it. If they win, you get $25 back. I mean, those small bets add up after a little bit. You don't have to always bet, big money on these things.
It's one thing about the MLS that I like a lot is that the books don't really know how to account for injuries in the MLS. It's not like you're playing Liverpool and Mane's out, so we're gonna lower we're gonna lower their odds. No, it's not like that because it's a lot harder to know who's so important to these MLS teams. So even though LAFC was the favorite, they had injuries that were detrimental to them. So Austin FC took advantage of that and they won 2-1, and that was a great win for them.
When you see the 4 games on Saturday, I know you already talked about Cincinnati, and some of these the odds are a little bit to me like DC United against Toronto FC. DC United minus 182 or minus 180 in some books. I mean, it's is there another game on that day? Columbus Crew.
So I'm taking DC United on the Asian handicap minus 0.75. Just because I am really attacking these Canadian teams.
Mm-hmm.
They're not good. They're just not good. Like Toronto, it pains me to watch them play. So I'm taking most teams against the Canadian teams, except Montreal. They're the best Canadian team in the league. So I'm taking everyone, against them. So I'm taking DC United on the handicap.
Yeah, it's amazing how bad Toronto and Vancouver have gotten. I know Vancouver struggled for a while. I mean, Toronto, was pretty good for 20 before the pandemic. But Michael Bradley's not doing them any favors in the middle of the pitch there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, obviously, the Saturday slate a little bit, 3:30, 4 o'clock, 6 and 7. And then Sunday, it doesn't start till 4 o'clock. Is there any, I know you talked about the Canada teams. Are you looking at the Charlotte FC Vancouver game then?
Yeah, they're so Charlotte FC. That's really tough to handicap though. That game specifically is because Charlotte is not a bad team. And this is their first go around, really trying to establish a name for themselves.
Yeah,
it's really tough to handicap those games because we don't have enough information and data on these newer teams like Charlotte FC. So I kind of want to just watch them this year. I haven't bet on them or against them all season. I just really want to know what's going on. They're really defensive, unless the team they're playing is not, very defensive. So I could see goals in this game, but there's very reason to believe it could be like a 1-0, 2-1, or 2-0. So it's really hard to handicap Charlotte FC. I'm staying away from those games.
Well, that's it. You know what? I mean, especially with these new teams and you're trying to figure out, like the other night, Philly played Inter and you're just looking at Philly's like a heavy favorite and it was 0-0. And then the Red Bull 3-3. Like these games, You're like, it's hard enough to handicap the top teams in this league when they're playing like the bottom teams. It's like when you have to play, when you got some of these newer teams in there and like, just because there's 14 games on the slate, I know a lot of people want to bet, multiple games here and it's absolutely pouring outside.
There's a lot of storylines I've been looking at for these games. For example, ATL, they play. They play on Saturday.
They're the late game Saturday night against Nashville. Yeah,
I do like Nashville at home specifically. They are 3-0-1 at home this season so far. They haven't had many home games. They've had one of the fewest home games this season so far. But Atlanta is 1-5 in the last 5 away games.
Oh,
and so I don't know why they're not minus money, but they're plus 110 on my book. So I'm taking that.
Yep. That's you got them plus and money. If you can get a game like that at plus money, I mean, you definitely have to take that.
Yeah, I have friends who also live in Nashville, and they say they have actually had a good turnout like a good crowd turnout. It hasn't been this popular to go to Nashville games, but they got some new ownership. They got people like Derrick Henry in the NFL. They're putting money towards the team. So yeah, it's going to be a lot better season for them specifically.
What do you think about this, Inter Miami Red Bulls game? I mean, they both, two of the games, Inter came up to Philly and drew with Philly and really disappointing result for the Union. And the Red Bulls had to fight back to tie 3-3. I know that Inter's not very good. I mean, they have a really bad goal difference. It's still I think it's still around -10 or -11. And the Red Bulls are going down to Miami, and you basically, -108, -105, whatever it is at your book. Do you have a kind of anything on that play?
So that game I'm also staying away from, only because Inter and Miami have a couple new guys they got on the team.
Mm-hmm.
They've played their first games the last couple of games. So and I forget his name, but he's a really good attacker. He's from the European circuit. So I really want to see how this Inter Miami team decides to play their team now. With all these new guys they're going to be starting. It could be more of an offensive attacking standpoint. It could be more defensive. I really don't know. So I'm going to stay away from Miami too. But Red Bulls should bounce back. I'm really surprised they lost that game.
Yeah,
it's a bad Chicago team.
Yeah, that was the thing. I mean, they came back and they had to score like a 92nd minute goal just to tie that game, and it was just between that game and we talked about the games on Tuesday and Wednesday, I think, and it was really weird results in the league, and that's sometimes with the MLS you get that, I think, because these teams, there's not a lot between the teams, like from 1 to 6 in each conference, and then really from like 3 to 12 or whatever. I mean, they're all pretty equal, so if you can get an edge on some of these games, definitely. Now, do you have any plays in any of the other leagues this weekend?
Yeah, I looked at the EPL. They have a couple of good games, but the juice is so high on these games that for like the first 3 games, I'm just going for like goal scorers, honestly. I know you saw last week Riyad Mahrez missed that penalty that could have got us the win over West Ham. Mm-hmm. I think he scores this weekend against Aston Villa. He's -105. I think the book knows that he's going to redeem himself from that missing penalty kick. So I think he's going to score. Also in the Liverpool game versus the Wolves, I can see Sadio Mane getting a goal this week. He's at +115. So I'm looking at that. I want to make sure that they're all starting before I bet on it, honestly.
Yeah. They have Salah listed at -165, and I can't imagine he's going to start, but maybe he will. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, see, I'm staying away from like those bigger names. Like Mane is a big name, but he's not as big as, of course, Salah. So I'm trying to go to these other guys on these teams that are heavy favorites, just to get a little bit better number.
Yeah, with Liverpool, you get Jota at -1, basically even money. Lewis at +135. Earlier, I talked about that game, and we talked about like the juice that you gotta lay. I don't mind in the City game. I actually don't mind it because I just think City's going to go out there in the first half and just annihilate Villa and just basically win the title. The problem I have in that second in the Liverpool game is if they're watching, they're going to know what's going on at halftime of the other game. I mean, if the other game is 3-0, 4-0 at halftime, he's gonna pull his guys out because he's got a final on the following weekend. I mean, there's no really point there. So I just get a little and if you, I was saying about the the -2.25 on the Asian handicap or the over 2.5 goals, whatever it is. If it's 1-0 at halftime and they can't win the title, why am I playing my guys? So they might sit those guys out. So that's my only. But then they could win that game 5-0 too. So
That is true. That is true. Which is why I really want to see the starting lineup for Liverpool before I put any money on Liverpool. But I'm pretty sure Riyad Mahrez is going to redeem himself from yesterday from last week because he looked like he was just. I don't even know how he missed that. Honestly, it's really weird.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I think the keeper guessed the right way, and it was a decent height for the keeper. But yeah, that game was a little bit, that was like the Everton game. When you're watching it, it was 2-0 at halftime. Like that was a perfect spot to live bet because you knew City was going to score. You knew City.
I really didn't even want him to take the kick. Honestly, I wanted it to be someone else. I wouldn't mind De Bruyne kicking it. I wouldn't mind anyone else, but it's just Riyad Mahrez. He was tired. He looked like he was dead tired. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, he probably was. They're running around like crazy. You like anything in that City, Norwich City and Tottenham game? I know Tottenham wins, they're into the Champions League. Or
I definitely see them winning the game, but I'm gonna take a clean sheet, and it's not likely that they do. They're not a clean sheet team, really. But them being away from home, I can see them scoring, 1 or 2 goals and just playing defense the rest of the game, and to get on a high note.
Yeah,
and it's plus money, so I'm taking that.
Yeah, plus 116 here. You probably get it anywhere from plus 116. Plus
Norwich, being relegated back to the championship, they are not a goal scoring team. So if they wanted to, make a stable for themselves, they can do that this weekend and making them win the nil. So hoping they win the nil.
And then just, I know some of the other games we had just mentioned them about, I don't love the Leeds Brentford, and Leeds has to win basically. If Leeds wins, they're in a decent shape. I think, but depending on what Burnley does, obviously, but Leeds has to they have to take care of themselves first, but I don't think they're any good. So, even at plus 180, I don't know if I would even take a shot on Leeds to do that. I think Brentford's actually played much better than Leeds all year.
I like the first half draw in that game. I really don't trust Leeds to be very defensive away from home. Offensive away from home. And Brentford plays very good home defense. I like their defensive play style. I can see them making it really tough for Leeds to have a chance. Both teams probably could score, but I think it'll be a higher scoring half in the second half than the first half.
I don't think Leeds wins, to be honest. I think they lose.
I'm going to miss them. I'm going to miss Leeds. But, them losing Raphinha after the season, regardless of what happens, I really don't care much for them whenever he leaves.
Well, they're going to get rated. Yeah, they're going to get rated. I mean, and, I'm not going to, I like Jesse Marsh, but, I can't stand Leeds as a United fan. So if they're going, I don't care. I think you have to I think you have to have a team like Burnley in the league because, it's part of I think the problem sometimes with, some of the other leagues and watching like Manchester City, if you listen to Jordan Henderson's interview the other day, like, he's like, did you watch the City game? And he's like, listen, I'll be honest that, it's so boring watching them. Like I was watching kids stuff with the cartoons with the kids. Because, I mean, it's just so Newcastle Leeds needs to go down to Newcastle since sign Phillips and Raphinha.
That'd be terrible.
I think you need to have some teams like Burnley. I hate playing Burnley as a United fan, but it's just, it used to be like when Stoke was in the league and they would have that long throw and they would just bully you. And then when Puis went to Crystal Palace, they got big defense. I just think the thing that makes the Premier League so good and so much better than some of these other leagues is there's multiple styles. You got City, you got Liverpool, the high press, you got Burnley, likes to be physical. You got some of these other teams that are trying to do stuff. Arsenal playing with like the kids and doing stuff, and Tottenham playing under Conte. Each team has these identities, and in some of the other leagues, La Liga, everybody wants to play the same way. I think Real Madrid maybe is a little bit different. They try to play a little bit counter and stuff.
I do like both teams to score in that game. In
And
that
which one?
Burnley game. I some reason I don't know why, but I do like Newcastle. I like Maximum. I like him. I like a lot of their players. They're trying really hard to establish something for next season, and I think they're going to try to end it on a high note as well. Burnley, they're good too, but they are really tough to trust.
Yeah.
At home for sure, they're tough to trust. I'm going to go with the guys who have more weapons. I think they have more weapons on the Newcastle side. So I'm just going to say that both teams score, and whoever scores that third goal, or if it goes to a draw,
I think Burnley, Burnley's gonna. I just think Burnley is gonna need a draw. If Burnley draws, I think they're gonna be. That was always the concern about Messi in the Prem. Could he do it on a cold, windy night in Stoke? That's right. Yeah, look, man, it's hard. The weather's brutal, and it's tough. You play physical. Listen, it's not a coincidence that Messi. Messi has 3 Champions League. Well, he's got 4, but he doesn't really on that team in 2006, but they give him 4. But it's that Barcelona team when they would play against Chelsea and some of these other teams. Sometimes they struggled, but it's tough. It's tough playing against those teams. Burnley and Leeds had their own style when Bielsa was there. I think Mars changed it a little bit.
Did you already talk about earlier in the show about your Man United team?
No, I'm not gonna. I won't touch that game.
I think there's gonna be goals. There's gonna be goals.
There's probably gonna be goals. I mean, United hasn't played in 2 weeks. The only problem is United hasn't played in 2 weeks, and they're already on the beach, and half the players know they're already going to be gone. So I don't really trust the game. But
the over 2.75 is at -110, and that's pretty good price, I think.
Yeah. Foxy says, don't bet on Newcastle until you see the lineup. I have a feeling they may start players that are leaving this summer.
That's true.
That could be interesting. I know for City, it's for United, could be the same way. Daryl, opinions these teams to put in a parlay: Tottenham, West Ham, Newcastle, Man City, AC Milan, Liverpool. I mean, that's gonna pay a little bit.
It's gonna pay, yeah, it will pay.
I don't love the West Ham game, to be honest.
I'm betting that game as well.
Brighton has played well at the end of the season. I think maybe take West Ham out and put Inter in. I think Inter can win that game. I think if you do Liverpool, Manchester City, AC Milan, Inter Milan, Inter AC. It's not going to pay anything because these games are so high. It's
They're
crazy.
Really juiced. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. You're probably you're almost and even this Newcastle game. The Newcastle add to it make it 577, but Daryl Foxy says, Foxy's a Newcastle guy. Don't take that until you see the lineup. They might play some guys that are leaving because they're signing all those guys because they're rich now. So I would in some of these money lines. I mean, you could even take Liverpool. I would even take them at -1. But once again, I would just be, I think Liverpool will win, but if it's only 1-0 at halftime and City's up 4-0, I just don't know if I like the game or not.
Yeah, I would parlay some, halftime money lines too, if you could, because I feel like a lot of these high favorites are going to be winning at halftime.
Yeah, that's exactly. Did you have any other plays that you're looking at this weekend?
I just want to give out some information. You guys can do with it what you will. Just a couple more things about the MLS that are going down. So Philadelphia and Union are the last game on Sunday, and they haven't won in 7 straight matches. They've tied like 3, and they've lost 4. So like, I think they're gonna win this game this week. They're plus money, I think.
+1.
They're playing Portland, which is a win team, which is a give me a win team. So Portland's having a bad year, terrible year, and they're ex-champions. So it's really weird to look at them and see, what their problem is. But I don't see why Philadelphia Union does not win this game. It's really weird how they are sitting top of the table, top 5 in the table, and they've had a bad 7 games. So
yeah, they haven't been good.
They're clinging on to life to the top 5. So I feel like they have to do something against this Portland Timbers team who is not that good. They need to capitalize this week. I like that. And like I said, I do like Montreal to beat Real Salt Lake. I think they should win. They're the best Canadian team. And Real Salt Lake is 0-3-2 away from home in the last 5 games. So I'm looking at that as well. But other than that, that's about all I got.
All right, cool. So stop the screen here. Yeah, so let me just run these things now. We're going to be on we have the 6 hours of programming. Make sure you follow all these things. The Midday Money, Sean Higgs, 1-2, Ali Burns, Just Parlays, Chris King, 2-3. Back to the Window, Scott and Scott, 3-4, this show, and then Game Time Decisions. But tonight, 8 o'clock, I think we're going to have a couple different ones. I know there's a Total Chaos where we're going to talk about, totals in some of the leagues this weekend. And then I know she does one with a baseball one as well. So it'll be myself, Kaepernick, and Tony on there tonight with Allie, given a couple games. And, there's always other programming. We do the F1 show on Thursdays when there's a race early in the morning. So we had a pretty good response to that. So that was pretty cool. Foxy says not many standout games this weekend. Like Nashville, NYC at home, Lazio at home. Daryl asks,
Foxy.
Yeah, Daryl asks if we like those MLS teams more than West Ham and Newcastle.
I would not bet on Newcastle or West Ham. I would like a lot more to more towards MLS.
I don't. I mean, West Ham could win because they're a very good team, but I just, I don't know if that they're playing Brighton, and Brighton is pretty good. So
Brighton is tough.
Yeah. Look, I mean, and West Ham, if they win and United doesn't, West Ham will get Europa. So there is that to play for. So I think, West Ham does have a chance to win the game. I just don't know if I trust at this point because they're a long season. They made the semifinals of the Europa League. I think they're kind of running out of gas a little bit in the Premier League. They haven't played well in a while.
Yeah, West Ham, they were a wagon to begin the season. They were winning like crazy to start off, and then they just tapered off. As I predicted. So I'm not going to touch them at all at the end of the season.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so that's our show for today. Thanks to Kaepernick for coming on.
Thank you
and
for having me.
He's always here on Fridays. We're going to talk MLS. And next week, probably we'll talk about the Champions League final as well for next Saturday. Yeah. So for everybody here on Max Wagers, we'll see you on Monday, and we'll talk about this crazy weekend of action. We'll have some titles to talk about, and make sure you join us tonight in 3 hours as we talk about Total Chaos. So thanks, and have a great weekend. I will be moving all weekend, so I will be miserable, and it's going to be 100 degrees tomorrow. Sorry, I hit that too early. It's going to be 100 degrees tomorrow, and I have to move. I'm going to be absolutely miserable. So I just wanted to get that point in. All right. See you next week.